Good morning. My name is Hadia Irfan, and today I'm going to talk to you on the topic of who am I really? COVID 19 was a life changing pandemic for everyone. Some of us use this time to try new things, such as taking up a hobby, getting creative, or doing things we simply never had time for before. But for others, this was a time to stop and self reflect. With everything shut down and life slowing, we had to really look and ask ourselves a very simple question: who am I really? A question many of you may have thought at many points throughout your lives. And I hope that through my speech and stories, you might catch a glimpse of yourself and make sense of how we as humans are constantly evolving with our identities. Um, with the mention of 2020, you might be thinking of isolation, of seeing friends and families only through screens, or of the sudden stillness that replaced the usual noise of everyday life. But 2020 didn't just change the world, it changed how we perceived ourselves, and it was as if we were suddenly forced to face the question of who we truly are. We started noticing the masks we wear, not just the physical ones, but the ones shaped by social roles, expectations, and our need to fit in. Um, are we the child, the student, the friend, or are we the version of ourselves that we curated for Instagram? Society teaches us how to think, how to act, what to say, and even who to be. In fact, sociologist Irvin Goffman often viewed social interactions as a kind of performance. He would use the metaphor of a theater where people were actors and each social situation was a stage. According to Goffman, people tailor their identities depending on their audience to maintain a desired image, which he called impression management. He said that people will perform in ways that they believe will avoid conflict, bring approval, and maintain social status. This helps people to help navigate through different social environments. And although this helps people to think through different environments and social situations, although he did warn often that if someone feels forced to keep up their performances and over-identifies with their personas and loses touch with their real self, they might experience internal conflict or identity crisis. Now, we all wear masks, adapting to different situations and environments, and I'm no exception. For example, when I visit my home country, Pakistan, I find myself wearing a completely different mask than the one I wear here. This is because the culture, the people, and the environment are just so different that I have to adjust how I present myself. I have to adjust how I present myself. And, okay. Over there, I'm expected to be speaking with warmth, energy, and enthusiasm, engaging in endless conversations with people I've only met once or twice before. Over there, they value the idea of a close-knit community and it is deeply ingrained in their values. And while I respect and admire that, I sometimes find it overwhelming. And sometimes keeping a social mask on in front of so many people for so long feels exhausting. And I often find myself reflecting of how much of myself I am really losing whilst I am performing whilst I'm in Pakistan, especially in front of my relatives, neighbors, and people that I've known my whole life. I often feel trapped, as if I am forced to keep a performance, or else I might not be accepted or excluded by them. And it makes me feel like I don't belong there sometimes. As much as I love my roots and the people, it's just overwhelming to try to keep up with the performance. And oftentimes, I find myself not knowing who I truly am, and balancing my cultural identity often is tough for me, mostly because I've lived here in the UAE my whole life, a place filled with so much cultural diversity, with people of different stories and backgrounds. Yeah, different, with different stories and backgrounds. Um, Yeah, but living here in the UAE with so many different cultures and backgrounds has taught me over time that my identity is something powerful, and it's not something that I should be hiding away. It's something I should be embracing. My identity is more than what others assume. It's more than the stereotypes that come with being South Asian, such as how people usually say that South Asians are uneducated, unhygienic, or how our clothing looks weird. Oftentimes, I would try to disconnect myself with the Pakistani identity because of these comments, and it often made me scared of revealing who I truly was. I often identified with the Marathi culture more than I did with the Pakistani ones. I don't even know the words to my own country's anthem, and sometimes it makes me feel like I don't truly belong. But here in the UAE, being with so many different cultures and people made me realize that I don't have to conform to anyone else's standards or definitions. I don't have to act like anybody else. I just have to stay true to me. And whilst I keep getting more comfortable with who I am, I often find myself struggling with my identity, especially in this new day and age where social media plays a big role in shaping who we are. And is another factor of why we often find ourselves asking the question of who am I really? I'm sure you are all familiar with social media, such as Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and more. Um, uh, I okay. I often use social media to gain inspiration, ideas, and learn from diverse perspectives. It is a great tool for self-expression and connection. It allows people to express their own voices and passions, and it helps them to navigate and find communities that can support them. And whilst it is a great tool for personal growth and positive change, I sometimes find myself struggling with my identity because of it. Social media, um, uh, um, social, social media can help amplify causes that matter, create diverse groups that can help find support. And whilst it has a lot of benefits, I sometimes find myself asking, at what cost does this growth come? I remember scrolling through Instagram one night, feeling the strange feeling of admiration and envy, whilst I saw all my friends achieving all these great things, travels that they experienced, and seeing what seemed like perfect moments. And I remember sitting in my room that night, questioning myself. I wasn't experiencing the world. I wasn't achieving any great milestones, or I wasn't traveling the world. And eventually, and it made me feel like I wasn't enough unless I had something equally impressive to post. And I caught myself one night preparing to take a photo of something that wasn't even meaningful to me, just so I could share it and feel included. But I didn't realize how much of my true self I was losing in that moment. And it made me realize that I didn't feel like me. I was presenting an image of myself so that I could gain the approval of others, but I wasn't being true to my own personal identity. And social media can often blur the lines between our true selves and the versions that we present online. And um, and whilst it has so many benefits, it does make us compare ourselves to others constantly. And we are always comparing and ourselves to other people because we want to be like them, because we want to be like everyone else, because we don't want to feel different, but we also want to be unique. But the truth is, we are all unique and we are all different, and we will never be the same as each other. And sometimes I find myself asking questions like, am I interesting enough for others to notice? Do I have a right style, or am I just following other people? Or am I really staying true to my own self, or am I just presenting a version of myself that I think others will admire and accept? Thank you all for joining me, and I hope you have a great day.